The game sevens from last week, we are going to get into those, so don't think we forgot. The conference semifinals is underway, so we're going to predict tonight who actually gets out of the conference semifinals and gets to the conference final. And the 2-minute warning. All right, we're talking about winners and losers and how that choice is yours to make. This is episode 127 of the X Factor Sports Podcast. Keep it locked right here. Yo, this is your host, Jay Mondane of the X Factor Sports Podcast, episode 127. We are live on YouTube. We are also on Facebook, Twitch, X, and I got my peoples here on TikTok live. Appreciate y'all. We haven't done a live in a long time, so we made sure we do this. I see all the thumbs up and the hearts. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, but of course, follow the X Factor Sports Podcast as well. All right, if you're looking for real sports talk and unbiased takes, this is the place to be. And because we're live, any of your comments that come in on social media, on YouTube, on X, on Facebook, we're going to pop them up on the screen in real time. All right, so let's go ahead and get into it. We're going to start with these game sevens from last week. All right, we're going to talk about those. So we didn't get them last week because we go every Wednesday. But let's dive into the Eastern Conference, those game sevens. Philly and Boston, let's start there. Joel Embiid comes back after getting an appendicitis. We touched on it a little bit last week, but obviously it wasn't until game seven until Sunday. I was sitting at brunch with my boys, and they were asking, like, who do you have winning this game? Mind you, brunch was at 10, 11 o'clock in the morning. I say, Boston going to blow them out. Boston's going to win by double digits. Right? They both said they got Philly winning. I was like, I don't think Philly winning. It's at home. Tatum's back. It's a wrap. The news comes at about 3 o'clock, 3:30. Jason Tatum is out for game seven. Damn. So then right there, I was like, all right, they might not win this game. No Tatum. And because of what Joel Embiid did for that team, it's going to go unnoticed. Okay? It's going to go. The fact that he was able to come back in that series when they were down, uplifted that locker room. He was obviously a mismatch problem for them on the floor, but what he did for his team in the locker room psychologically, what he did to the Celtics psychologically, put that game to bed in game seven in Boston. What's even more impressive about that series alone, Philly won 3 out of their 4 games in the Boston Garden, right? That doesn't happen rarely. That rarely happens. You get a 2 seed against a 7 seed that came out of a play-in, and you give away 3 home games. All right, so congrats to Philly. Obviously, they're playing right now as we speak against the Knicks, and they lost game 1 the other day. We're going to dive into the conference semis, but I want to touch on these game sevens. That was a big game 7 for Philly to win. VJ Edgecombe showed up. Great for the rookie. Maxey being Maxey. Paul George, you owe me a bucket because you messed up my parlay. We're gonna talk about that too. All right, so we had that game 7. Then you had the Cleveland-Toronto game 7. That game was crazy too. That series was back and forth. I picked Cleveland to win because they were in Cleveland. I feel like they were the better team all series long. They just hadn't got over that hump. Toronto won a lot of close games in that series, if y'all paid attention to it. But Cleveland kind of separated themselves in that game 7. Jared Allen had a game for the ages, 20-plus rebounds, 20-some points, right? Career numbers. So shout out to Jared Allen for stepping up big. I know he's battling injuries these last couple of years, so that was huge for him. So congrats on that. They move on, obviously. And then the game 7, Orlando and Detroit. So one of my good friends from one of my college teammates from Orlando, bleeds Orlando, Florida all day. Me and him chop it up back and forth all the time. And they went up 3-1, and I messaged him. And if he's on here, he will vouch for this. I messaged him and said, they're going to try to atone for what happened to T-Mac back in the early 2000s. And I don't know what that did, but it flipped the switch. Detroit did it to him again. History repeats itself. Detroit comes back down 3-1, gets it back to Detroit for a game 7, and Orlando just ran out of gas and could not beat these guys. Now, I will say this. Orlando showed us something that I didn't know they had. The fact that the physicality that they had in that series against Detroit, I don't know if Detroit's going to see anybody else be that physical with them matchup-wise, right? I don't know if they were expecting that. But Orlando didn't have enough offense. I don't know if they ran out of gas offensively. Threes weren't falling. Franz Wagner being hurt those last couple games hurt them too because he was a mismatch problem. They had problems with Franz Wagner. Detroit did. And so with him going down, that kind of hurt them too. So congrats to the Pistons. This is why you want the higher seed, because you want a game. If there's an eventuality of a game 7, you want to be in your home gym. And they earned that right, coming back from 3-1 to force a game 7 at home. They got out of Orlando and they ended up finishing the job. All right. So congrats to them. So those are the game 7s that happened. We caught up on them. My take is simple. I thought Boston was going to win, and then Jason Tatum was ruled out like 3 hours before the game. So that put a damper in that. I had Cleveland winning at home. Again, they were a higher seed. That battle in that series was too close for comfort, I think. But Toronto fought hard. They won more games than I thought they actually would. I had them losing in 5, I think, or 6 maybe. So shout out to them. No Brandon Ingram the last couple games, and they still made it happen. Some stars emerged in that series from Toronto as well. And then the Orlando series, heartbreaker. They played their butt off, but he needed some help. He needed Franz Wagner with him to ride him out. So Desmond Bane, we need you to show up for the entire series, not just for 3 games and not just for the home games. You're not a role player. You're one of the stars. So we expect you to show up on the road too. All right. So that's what we got for those game 7s. I wanted to touch on those because that's going to segue us into where we are now in the playoffs, the conference semis. We already got game 1s under our belt. The Knicks and Philly are playing game 2 right now as we speak. So hopefully you're watching the X Factor Sports podcast on your phone or on your tablet while you got that game on the TV, because we're about to knock out who we have winning in these conference semis in this next segment. All right. The X Factor Sports podcast, you can catch us every Wednesday night. We're on YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe. But also when you see the reels, when you see content like this live, be sure to share it. That's how we spread the love to everybody. If you got followers, let them know what you're watching, and it'll spread like wildfire to everybody else. That's the name of the game. All right. So I appreciate y'all for tuning in tonight. Every Wednesday night, if you don't like watching the show, you can listen to the audio. We're on every platform where you can listen to podcasts also. 127 episodes worth, the X Factor Sports podcast. So be sure to tap in. All right. Now, what else do we have going on? We got the conference semifinals. Let's get into that. The bracket is up on the screen if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook or X or Twitch. So to my listeners, I apologize. To those of you who are on TikTok Live, you're not going to see it on the screen, but I appreciate everybody tuning in. I see Jason Lockwood tuned in. I see Ramones. Thank you. Appreciate y'all for chiming in as well on the TikTok. I got to give shout outs to them live. But we got the bracket on the screen. So we're going to get into the conference semis. All right. So for those of y'all who can see it, we're already on to the second round. We had the Knicks beat Philly in game 1. We're going to start there. I'm going to get through every single one of these series and tell you who comes out of them. So starting with the Knicks and the Sixers. The Knicks win game 1 in the Garden on Monday night. They blow out the Sixers. No disrespect to the Knicks. I got to give y'all do. Y'all didn't just beat Philly. Y'all beat the hell out of Philly. And that's been a trend. Ever since y'all lost that second game to the Hawks, they've beaten everybody by 16 or more points. In the playoffs, that's a lot. If you're beating teams by 16 or more points in playoff games, that's like losing by 30 in the regular season, okay? Monumental blowouts. So shout out to the Knicks. They figured something out. Mike Brown, I don't know what they're doing offensively. It looks like they've unlocked Mikal Bridges. I was also talking to my boy about this. He had asked me this question. He was like, Jay, what can the Knicks do? This was in the last series. He was like, Jay, what can the Knicks do about Mikal Bridges? And I told him, I said, listen, I pull Mikal Bridges to the side. I show him film of what he looked like in Phoenix. I don't show him the Brooklyn footage. We don't need you to be the guy. We got Karl Anthony Towns. We got Jalen Brunson. We got OG Anunoby. I need you to be the guy that was in Phoenix that helped the team get to the finals when Chris Paul was there, when Devin Booker was there, when DeAndre Ayton was there. Y'all had arguably the best starting five in basketball that year, and you were the fourth option offensively. But on defense, you gave us everything we needed, all the intangibles. You guarded the toughest wings. You made tough shots in the clutch in the fourth quarters. You made your free throws. You did all of the IQ intangible things that equates to winning basketball. Start doing that. Don't worry about your shot. Don't worry about trying to get these shots up or proving your contract or proving I'm worth the 5 picks y'all gave up. Stop trying to play like that. Play winning basketball. I don't know if that was a conversation that was had with Mikal Bridges, but over these last 3-4 games, he looks like the Mikal Bridges from the Phoenix Suns. He had 17 the other night in game 1. He closed out the last series on good terms. He's looking great. He's guarding everybody's best wing guy. He's taking a responsibility. And that's why I'm not surprised at what's going to happen in this series with Philly. They're up 1-0. Embiid's not playing tonight and because of an ankle injury, but he's got so many other things going on. His knee's banged up. His ribs are banged up. Obviously, he had an appendectomy less than a month ago. So there's a lot of things happening with Big Fella. But in this series, I had the Knicks winning this series anyway. This is why I had the Knicks winning this series. The one thing they have that Boston does not have is these athletic wings that can guard a VJ Edgecombe and a Tyrese Maxey. I'm not saying that Tyrese Maxey is going to be, that he's not going to get his numbers, but they're going to be tough. He's going to have to take a lot of shots over a lot of bigger defenders. You're not going past Sam Hauser anymore, right? You're not playing against a 85% Jason Tatum on defense anymore, right? You're not playing against a Peyton Pritchard anymore. You got OG Anunoby guarding you. You got 6'7", 6'8" guys with long wingspans guarding you, VJ Edgecombe. So they're going to be more physical, right? They can't just take advantage of Jalen Brunson. You got to deal with these other dogs he's got behind him. So that problem happens. You actually have somebody that can match Joel Embiid in Karl Anthony Towns. That's not to say that Karl Anthony Towns is better than Embiid or vice versa. What I'm saying is Boston didn't have anybody. They started Luka Garza in game 7. Right? So the fact that you have a fellow all-star looking you in the eye and can match you bucket for bucket on any given night says something. So you can nullify Joel Embiid to a certain extent, and he's not 100%. So you have that box check. And then you got a closer. You know, before Shai Gilgeous-Alexander won the Mr. Clutch Award this year, Jalen Brunson won it last year. So you got a closer in Jalen Brunson, is not afraid of taking big shots, making big shots. So you have all the ingredients to beat a Philadelphia 76er team. They can nullify Paul George. They can nullify Kelly Oubre because they were getting good looks. They were getting good matchups against Boston. They're not going to be able to get those same type of looks because the physicality of these wing defenders in New York is totally different from what Boston presented to them. So because of that, I got the Knicks winning this series in 5 games. Okay. I'll give Philly 1. They might get this game tonight. I don't know what the score is. Before this episode started, I think Philly was up like 3 in the first quarter early. But I give Philly 1 game. They might catch the Knicks by surprise. No Joel Embiid in the way, so that's kind of going to free them up to get extra possessions, get out in transition. Maxey and VJ Edgecombe can do their thing in transition before the defense settles on them. Paul George may get some more looks. He may start heating up. But I think they only get 1 game. So give me the Knicks in 5. They have been the hottest team in the playoffs. Yes, the OKC Thunder haven't lost a game. But the Knicks in the East, they look formidable. They look tough. And they're healthier. So that's why I say they're the hottest team. So give me the Knicks in 5 games. All right. So now, in this next series, Cleveland and Detroit. With Cleveland and Detroit won last night, and they looked like they were in control the entire game. This Detroit Pistons team, okay, this series reminds me of, and for my viewers that remember this, that are old enough, when the Bulls used to play in the 90s, right? When the Bulls played in the 90s in the Eastern Conference, they always had tough defensive opponents. The Knicks, the Cleveland Cavaliers back in the day. They played the Pacers in a series that was tough. The Miami Heat back in the mid-90s, 96, 97, when Pat Riley went down there. They played against all these tough defensive-minded teams, right? Gritty teams. And then when they got out of the Eastern Conference and they got to the finals, they played against these finesse teams, the Portland Trailblazers. They played against, the Showtime Lakers in 91, the first championship. They played against Charles Barkley's team in Phoenix, super finesse teams, good teams, but finesse teams nonetheless. That's what this series reminds me of. The Detroit Pistons had a grueling 7-game series against Orlando. They found a team that met their match physicality-wise, right? The playoffs is all about matchups. Don't worry about the seeding, okay? Philly just showed you that. And in the West, Minnesota showed you that against a 3 seed. So don't worry about the seeding, the matchup. Orlando matched up with them so well, and they were so physical that in this series against Cleveland, the Cleveland Cavaliers do not match the physicality of the Detroit Pistons. They're a finesse team, okay? That's not a slight or an indictment on the Cleveland Cavaliers. They just are, okay? Jared Allen and all these guys, Donovan Mitchell, right? James Harden, they're just finesse guys. They're not gritty, grimy, tough guys. They're good players. Evan Mobley, like they're tall, lanky guys, but they're finesse players. They stretch you out. They hit jump shots, those types of plays. You got guys in Detroit, Jalen Duren, right? Isaiah Stewart, like them dudes is grimy as hell, and they play that way. Cade Cunningham can get grimy. He'll go get you 10 rebounds if he needs to at the point guard position. So Harden ain't finna go get you 10 rebounds. He's not getting in the trenches like that. In Detroit, that's their makeup. I say all that to say this. In game 1 last night, if you watched that game, the Detroit Pistons seemingly had that game under control. Even when the game was getting closer, I didn't feel like Detroit wasn't going to win. And I think this series is going to go that way as well. I'll give Cleveland 2 games, and here's why. I'm going to give them 2 games just because sometimes Detroit can't score. So I think there's going to be some of these games they expend so much energy on the defensive end that sometimes they have nights where they can't buy a basket, okay? And Cleveland being an offensive team, they got 3-point shooters, role players play well at home, Sam Merrill, Max Strus, like these guys play well at home. So I'll give Cleveland 2 games. I got Detroit winning this in 6, but it's not going to be a tough 6 games. It's not going to be a 6 games where they need to get in the ice bath after the series over, like last series. That last series against Orlando was a street fight. This ain't going to be a street fight with the Cleveland Cavaliers, all right? They're going to be able to breathe a little bit. They're going to impose their will on Cleveland because they're just not as gritty of a team. So give me the Detroit Pistons in 6 games on the Cavs, only because I think Detroit's going to have some nights where they're not shooting the ball particularly well. That's why. All right. In this next on the West Coast, okay, so we got the Spurs and we got the T-Wolves. They're playing tonight too. They're playing after this show. And game 1 may have seemed like a surprise to some people. But if you've been watching this Minnesota Timberwolves team over the last couple of years, this is what they do to people. Okay, they're a prime example of this seed does not matter. Okay, we can beat anybody at any given time. And in that game 1, yes, Victor Wembanyama had a historic triple-double, 12 blocks. He killed on the boards, didn't score particularly well, didn't hit a 3, 0 for 8 from 3. Okay, that is the Rudy Gobert effect. Okay, he is settling for jump shots. He has somebody that is close to his size that he's got to play against. He didn't have that in the first series in Portland. Now you have Rudy Gobert, your big brother. I don't know if that means anything emotionally, but you can't ignore the fact that you have a guy like Rudy Gobert out here that can match your intensity on the defensive side. So that's what happens in game 1. Minnesota comes off a impressive series win over the Denver Nuggets. On the road, they have no fear of going on the road and playing ball. This is going to be a tough series for the San Antonio Spurs. So not only do we have a center that can at least play with Wemby, I think Wemby's a better all-around player, but Rudy Gobert can play with him, and he's known him his entire life. So that helps. Okay. If Anthony Edwards is healthy, okay, the Minnesota Timberwolves will win this series in 7. I got the Timberwolves winning in 7 games. The reason is the San Antonio Spurs have not been in this situation before. This young iteration of the Spurs, Wemby, Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, these guys have not played in a series like this. They just got game 1 taken from them. Will they respond? Of course. We got it going 7 games. But listen, this Minnesota Timberwolves team, over the last few years, they either are out in the first round or they're in the Western Conference Finals. There's no in between. All right. If they get out of the first round, they're winning the second round. That's just what it's been. And it's because they're a tough team, right? They got the same guys. Mike Conley got traded to the Bulls, left the Bulls, went to Charlotte, got waived, went somewhere else, got waived, came back to Minnesota and came up huge in game 1 for them. Veteran leadership. He knows the system. All right. You got TJ Shannon Jr. Shout out to Illinois. He came in and stepped up big. Ayo Dosunmu comes back. They got the depth. They got the talent. They got the experience. So they're checking all these boxes against this young Spurs team who, this was our one fear for the Spurs, is will their youth get in the way when they run into a team that's been there, done that, and is physical. The other reason that the Timberwolves are going to win this series, okay, the X factor in this series is Julius Randle. They don't have anybody to guard Julius Randle on that side for San Antonio, okay? He can rebound and bring the ball up the court in transition. He can step out and hit threes. He can go down and post you up. He can be an additional defender on Wemby. So not only do you have Rudy Gobert, not only do you have Naz Reid, but you can spell them minutes, and then you can actually have Julius Randle guard him too. If you watch that game 1, Wemby had all these blocks in the first half, and then they made the adjustment, Minnesota, by putting somebody in that dunker spot. The dunker spot is the short corner on the offensive end. If you have somebody in that dunker spot, it's hard for him to help off, right? They get him out of the way, so now there's space for everybody to operate. He didn't get as many blocks in the second half, number 1. Number 2, Wemby played 40 minutes in that first game. He's never played that many minutes in an NBA game and never played that many minutes in a playoff game. So the energy that they're going to force Wemby to expend is probably, hopefully not, but it could be detrimental for the rest of this series. If you're going through a grueling 7-game series with a team that has size, toughness, experience, and you're used to playing 25 minutes a game and now you got to play 40. So there's no surprise that he wasn't making shots in game 1. He was out of gas. Basketball is a very simple game, okay? They were forcing him to shoot outside shots because they know how effective he can be in front of the rim. And then in the second half, they made the adjustment so he couldn't block everybody's shot. And they're going to continue to play downhill. You heard TJ Shannon say it in the postgame. They're going to continue to run downhill because it's going to force Wemby to expend energy. And through the course of 7 games, it's a series you've never been in before. It's a war of attrition. It's a marathon, not a sprint. They're not going to win this series in 1 game. So how do we chop this tree down, right? 1 chop at a time. And again, the series is going to go 7, meaning obviously the Spurs are going to win games, but give me the more experienced team, the team that has defensive presence. They have the X factor on the offensive end in Julius Randle. They're healthy. And this is all predicated on Anthony Edwards. If he is healthy, and he even said he had a bad game 1 because he was rusty. He didn't play the last couple games. If he gets some rhythm and he actually starts playing like Anthony Edwards, the San Antonio Spurs are in trouble. So give me the T-Wolves getting out of that series in 7 games. All right. And then last but not least, OKC and the Lakers. Okay. Do y'all remember when LeBron was in Cleveland and he played against the Golden State Warriors when they had KD that first year, 2017? So Kyrie was still there, Kevin Love, everybody was still intact, J.R. Smith, everybody was there. Do y'all remember that series? If you don't, Golden State won that series in 5 games, okay? The OKC Thunder is going to win this series in 5, but this is why I say they're going to win it in 5 games. And why I reference that series that LeBron was in 9 years ago. That is the type of way LeBron's going to have to play. But again, LeBron was 32 years old back then. But the type of way he had to play, and even in that 2015 series, his first iteration against the Warriors, when Kyrie went down in game 1, and he had to depend on Dellavedova, he has to be the point guard. He has to facilitate. He has to control the pace of the game, okay, in order for them to even have a shot at winning one game. The reason I'm giving him one is just out of respect for the great LeBron James. I don't think he's going to get swept. However, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. But give me OKC in 5. But the way LeBron's going to have to play to get one game, he has to be the point guard. He cannot sit around and watch the action if they have a chance to win. You cannot have 3, 4 rebounds if you want to win this game, right? LeBron cannot settle for threes. Again, I get it. He's 41. He shouldn't have to do this. But this is what happens when you construct a team around him where he still has to be the guy. Yes, Luka's out. So that probably puts more pressure on LeBron. I get it. I'm watching these games too. But it's the NBA. And this is high-level basketball, and there is no excuse, okay? Luka hasn't played all playoffs, and they have to figure out how to win. It is what it is. This ain't going to hurt his legacy. But if we're talking about in this series, they're not going to win this series at all. But if they want to get a game, LeBron's going to have to reach back and be the LeBron from 2017, 2018, and he's going to have to play the point guard. Austin Reeves is going to have to move to the 2. Stop letting these other dudes bring the ball up. And he has to slow the game down. If you remember those series back in the day, he did not want the Golden State Warriors to get in transition. He did not want them to have the pace. He did not want them to get open looks. So he had to slow the game down, keep it in striking distance, and then LeBron can be LeBron and use his IQ to take over the game in the last 5 minutes. Like, that's what's going to have to happen for them to even get one game. He has to control the pace, right? He has to pick his spots where he can defend. You have to be more cerebral now at 41. Okay, he can't expend all this energy. They're going to make him play 30-plus minutes anyway, so let's make it a smart, efficient 30 minutes. Okay, I believe Austin Reeves is going to make some shots. He had a terrible game 1. Couldn't make nothing. The role players are going to play better in LA. Maybe they get one of those games. But it has to be a game where LeBron has the ball in his hands and he's deciding what we do. LeBron sitting in a corner or LeBron waiting for action is not good for their offense because he still pulls a lot of gravity towards him. Even if he's in the action, not even to score, the fact that he just sets other people up like he did in that Houston series where he had a bunch of assists. It was one game in that Houston series. He had like 8 assists in the first half. He can still do that in this series too, right? But sitting around and watching, feeling the game out, I don't know if he was just feeling out game 1, but in game 2, they have to make the adjustment tomorrow or when they get back to LA if they want to get a game. But give me the OKC Thunder in 5. They're the better team. They're doing this without J-Dub. The size is overwhelming. Aiden can't deal with Isaiah Hartenstein and with Chet Holmgren. He just can't, right? His ceiling is as high as it can go. He's a good player, okay? But to sustain that for a series, it's too much to ask. Jackson Hayes needs to step up, and they don't even really play him that much. So you have a disadvantage there. Obviously, there's a disadvantage at the point guard position. You got the guy that's about to win his second MVP in Shea that you got to deal with. So that's what it is. The OKC Thunder win this in 5. They're the better team. They're the better defensive team. They're the more efficient team. But LeBron can get you one. He just has to control the pace of the game. He has to choke the life out of the pace in order to make this a game where he can take advantage of. Simple as that. All right. So y'all comment below. Let me know what you think. Who do you have getting out of the second round? Like I said, I got the Knicks in 5. I got the Detroit Pistons in 6. I got the Timberwolves in 7. And then I got the OKC Thunder in 5. Comment below. Comment on TikTok. Let me know what y'all got. Let me know what you think. Appreciate y'all for tuning in live. The X Factor Sports Podcast. You can always catch us on YouTube every Wednesday night. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, follow, and anywhere you listen to podcasts. So that's Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, YouTube Music. Okay, we're everywhere. And anywhere you like to listen, catch us. And on social media, all the reels that you'll see throughout the week that are broken up from this episode or any NBA playoff takes that I give y'all throughout the week, be sure to share those as well. We want to make sure we get this community going for real sports talk, unbiased takes. All right. Before we get up out of here, we're going to hit y'all with the 2-minute warning. Okay. For those of you who are new to the X Factor Sports Podcast, every week we do a 2-minute warning. We close the show out. We talk about life. We tie it all together. Some of my experiences I throw in there as well. So this week we are talking about winning and losing. And while ultimately winning and losing is a choice. Okay. What do I mean by that? Winning and losing being a choice. If you think about anything in life where you're trying to succeed and avoid failure, all of these things are a choice. I'll use myself as an example. Trying to work out, get back in shape. Every morning I have to get up early before work and work out. And that is a choice that I have to make every day if I want to win. I feel like if I don't work out, I lost that day, right? I made a choice to be lazy, or I made a choice to not get up early enough before I have to go to work. But when I do it every day, and I have consistently done it every day, I just use that as an example. But every day that I get up, it's a choice to go out and win. And that trickles down to everything else that happens that day. When I get to work, I'm more awake. I'm more alive. I'm more ready to do my task. I'm ready to do my thing. I'm going to win every day. And then you start stacking those wins up one after another. And you look back and you realize, man, I done did all these things to be successful by making a choice every day, right? Even if it's building something, social media, building a podcast, if you are building a business, instead of looking long-term and seeing how far that road to success is, whatever success may be, think about winning every day and just making the choices to win. Just break it down to the simplest form. If I do this, will this help me win or will this help me lose? And you make the best choice for yourself, right? Easier said than done, I get it. But when you think about it that way, it makes it a little more easier to decide, because then it's just a choice that you have, right? Being thankful for waking up and having the ability to make the choice. You have the choice to get out of bed. You have the choice to brush your teeth, shower, get up, go to work. Whatever it is you're doing, be an entrepreneur, right? Go to class. All of these small things, these are choices that can be made by you. Or you can go the other way and not do these things. But we know what those results will lead us to. So I say all that to say this. Winning and losing is a simple choice that you can make all the time. Doesn't matter what gets in your way, what obstacles get in your way. You can make the choice, if you fall down, to get back up as well, right? All these choices can be made for you, but you have to decide on which side of the choice you want to be on, the winning side or the losing side. All right. Appreciate y'all for tuning in to the X Factor Sports Podcast, episode 127. If you like the gear, shout out to everybody on TikTok Live. If you like the gear, the X Factor Sports Store, or you can just hit me up on social media and you can let me know what your size and what colors you like. We got sweatshirts, hoodies, we got t-shirts, we got hats. I'm not wearing a hat tonight. I'm representing the White Sox. They actually playing some good ball, so I'm proud of my boys. Got the City Edition White Sox hat on. If you know, you know. But yes, any other gear, for those of you who are watching on Facebook, X, Twitch and YouTube, scan the QR code. It takes you to the X Factor Sports store, okay? Again, appreciate y'all for tuning in to this episode 127. Next week, episode 128, will probably be in the conference finals for some of these teams, and that's when we get into it, all right? We're going to dissect these games. We're going to talk about the great moments of the conference finals in history. We're going to talk about teams that made it to the finals that shouldn't have made it, the best runs in the playoffs. It's going to be an exciting episode next week. I cannot wait to get into it. As you can see, basketball is the most exciting time of year for me. I hope it's the same for you. For all of those tuning in on all the platforms, I appreciate y'all. Come back next week. Be sure to chime in and subscribe. We're trying to get to 100,000 followers, and that's why we need y'all to tune in. This is Jay Mondane of the X Factor Sports Podcast signing out. I'll see y'all next week. Peace.